أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. Continuing with our discussion of Wilayah Takwiniyah and Istighatha, we said in the previous lecture we started the discussion of defining what is Wilayah Takwiniyah. We defined two definitions in the previous discussion. Okay, inshallah today, if Allah gives the tawfiq, we hopefully complete the discussion on the definitions of Wilayah Takwiniyah. And if not, inshallah, again in the subsequent discussions. Okay, so we've already defined the two definitions. We now come to the third definition. As I mentioned, that I was using this book, Wilayah Takwiniyah of Sayyid Shk Ali Karmali. Okay, so his first definition we have already discussed, which was our second definition. On page 34, he offers a second definition, which would be considered ours as a third definition. Okay, so notice. He says, ولاية أهل بيت عليهم السلام بر مخلوقات بمعنى دوم. Okay, a second definition for Wilayah Takwiniyah means أئمة عليهم السلام غير خلق وإيجاد. Okay, so now there's a new aspect being added here in the definition now, and that is the aspect of Imams now being the creators now. Okay, or what the philosophers would call illat fa'ili. Okay, they are the essential cause. Meaning, inshallah, as we go further, when we discuss the next meaning, we will then explain what it means. Illat fa'ili is a cause which brings into existence another cause. So the actual essential cause is Allah, and then the other causes also can be considered as essential causes which bring something else into existence. Okay, so here now in the definition now, Wilayah Takwiniyah, now notice it involves that Imams now start to create now. Okay, they're involved in the creation process, and I'll explain this when I'm explaining the fourth definition, inshallah. So they're not only creators, but they're mudabbir amr khalq wa mutasarrif mutlaq dar alam taqwin. Okay, so they're not only creators, but they're also mudabbir. They administer now. They're the administrators of everything in the creation. Okay, and that's exactly the meaning of tafweed coming out from the riwayats, and that's why, as I said, that some people are running away from tafweed, because this is the meaning it sometimes gives, that the Imams are administering everything. Okay, wa mutasarrif, they can do tasarruf, they can control the way they wish. This is related to the first meaning now. Okay, they can do whatever they want in the created world. Okay, in this created universe. Okay, this is a third meaning. Now as we go into the fourth meaning, this third meaning will become more clearer, and thus I'm not discussing this third meaning. Okay, the fourth meaning he gives it on page number 45. Okay, on page number 45, notice now, this is going to be a bit of a technical discussion. Okay, he says ولاية أهل بيت عليهم السلام بر مخلوقات بمعنى يسوم. Okay, Wilayah Takwiniyah means يعني أئمة مجاری فیوزات خداوند به مخلوقات و واسطه آن می باشند. Okay, this is the famous theory of wasa'itul fayd. You will hear this now and again, that Imams are, Imam meaning the Prophet and the Imams. Okay, Imam is the intermediary in the creation of this universe. Okay, meaning what? Whenever Allah wants to create anything, He sends it to the first creation, and we'll come and prove this from the philosophical statements. Allah creates the first aql or the first creation. The first creation doesn't mean Adam. The first creation is the light of the Prophet and the Imam. Okay, this is created, and then after that, this becomes the intermediary to be able to get everything to the world. So everything which reaches to the universe is through this intermediary. Okay, I hope I'm explaining it a bit well. So to give you an example, and then I come and quote where does this theory come from. This understanding comes from I remember listening when we were having a discussion. This was 3-4 years back when we were having a discussion with a teacher. For those of you following up on some of the discussions between the progressives and the traditionists and the traditionalists, is one of the issues which is very contested, and there's a debate within them, is the issue of revelation and wahi. Okay, so this might be surprising for you people, that why should people even be discussing wahi and revelation? So what these people do is they come and discuss what is revelation. Okay, how is revelation brought down? Okay, how does the Prophet receive revelation? All these discussions are being done between the progressives and the traditionalists. Now, we don't want to get into that. There are 3-4 opinions on that topic also. Inshallah, some other time we can discuss that. But what the philosophers do now, okay, and this is, I remember very clearly when we were having this discussion, I had questions also on this topic. The philosophers and the mystics believe in this, that because Allah creates the Holy Prophet, is the first creation, okay, so whatever comes down comes through the Holy Prophet. So Allah sends revelation and wahi initially to the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then Holy Prophet now sends the revelation and distributes and sends the revelation to Jibreel, and then Jibreel then brings it down to the Holy Prophet. Do you understand the hierarchy now? Okay, this is the whole concept of wasa'itul faith, and this is one of the meanings of Wilayah Takwiniyah being intended. Though the scholar, this researcher doesn't accept this meaning, but you will notice that some scholars promote this definition as the definition of Wilayah Takwiniyah. Okay, so this is a question I'd asked my teacher even then, and this is a question still remained in mind, that do we even believe that Allah does abath things? Okay, does Allah do things which are useless? There's no hadaf behind it. Okay, this becomes a very useless process. If the Prophet knew everything, then why send Jibreel to the Prophet with wahi now again? If the Holy Prophet knew it, then there was no need of creating an angel to start sending revelation to the Prophet again. Okay, and this is what the Quranic understanding is. The Quranic understanding is wahi comes to the Prophet through Jibreel. Okay, so the verses would discuss is, for example, this is in Surah Shura, if I'm not mistaken, Surah number 42, where Allah says there are 3 types of wahi. Yeah, okay, Allah sends wahi either directly, okay, أو من وراء حجاب, okay, أو يرسل رسولا. Okay, these are the 3 ways Allah sends wahi. It's either directly, Allah sends the revelation directly, He inspires in the hearts, or He speaks min wara'i hijabin, okay, behind a curtain. Now the example the scholars give, I don't know if this is a perfect example or not, but the example the prophets, the scholars would give is the example of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. When he went to the mountain of Tur, he was speaking to Allah. Allah created a voice within the mountain, or what. This would be, the mystics would disagree with this. This is a discussion, but this is the simplistic understanding that a voice was being created. So min wara'i hijabin. Okay, there's no direct communication between Allah and the Prophet. Rather, there's a hijab between. A third way of sending wahy and revelation, that's the common with the Quran and the Hadith and all, is that the Rasul comes in, Jibreel comes and brings this revelation to the Prophet. Okay? Now this is the understanding of the Quran. But when you come to the mystics, they say no. Okay? And the philosophers, they say no. It's Allah who gives the revelation initially to the Prophet. That means the Prophet knew everything. Okay? He then sends it down in piecemeals to Jibreel. Okay? And then Jibreel then brings it down to the Prophet again. Okay? And this is a question which has still remained in my mind, that what is this process? Why double process is being done? But khair, this is what Wasa'itul Faith means in its summary. Now, let me get into a technical discussion. My apologies for getting into a bit of a technical discussion, because I'm forced to get into, and this is where I come and keep on crying, that how do you make Wilayah Takwiniyah to be one of the essentials of madhab of Shia when you have to go through so much technical discussions to even understand it? I hope you are getting me what I'm trying to say. Okay? Now, what I'm trying to say is this: Wasa'itul Faith, this concept of Wasa'itul Faith is a philosophical concept and a mystical concept. Okay, you might see some of the Quran really discusses this in its own in a passing remark. Otherwise, in the Quran you will notice that He is the one. We say Huwa alladhi khalaqa. Okay, He is the alladhi khalaqa fasawwaha. You see, it's Him who is creating. He is the one who fashions. It's Allah who does everything. This is the Quranic concept, okay? هُوَ الَّذِي سَخَّرَ لَكُمْ هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ لَكُمْ. Okay? He is the one who created everything for you. Allah is the creator. But when you come to the philosophers, they say, no, this is not possible. It's not possible. It's muhal aqli. That's what they're trying to call it as. And sorry, I'm getting into these discussions. These discussions might feel a bit, we are now going to question God's powers and all whatnot, but these are discussions, the philosophers have them, okay? And they've used them in their books, and that's why I'm bringing them, because I want to explain the concept of Wilayah Takwiniyah, okay? So there's a concept the scholars in philosophy discuss. So this is Amuzish Falsafe of Ayatollah Misbah Yazdi. This is volume 2. This is a very famous text of philosophy now contemporarily being taught in the Hawza. Okay, any student in the Hawza who wants to go through the Hawza studies, he will be taught this book as a reference point in philosophy. So it's a very common text in philosophy. Okay, on page number 71. Okay, so this has been translated in English also on page number 317. Okay, the book is called Philosophical Instructions by Ayatollah Misbah Yazdi. Okay, so the discussion is on illa and ma'lul, the cause and the effect. Okay, so now, the philosophers have a theory and have a concept which I personally disagree with, but this is their theory which they're promoting. Now, it's not me disagreeing. The scholars, a lot of scholars have also disagreed with. Rather, let me mention this point, and inshallah, if we get time, we'll mention the statements also. The muhaddithin, the likes of Mullah Salih, Mazandarani, even Allama Balaghi, I saw statements from him. They consider this understanding of the philosophers as shirk also. Okay, so it has gone to that level that this understanding of philosophy is considered shirk. Now, is it shirk or not? That's not something I want to discuss. Okay, but I'm trying to just tell you that it's reached to a level that this concept is considered as shirk. Okay, and kufr. What is the concept? So they have a theory and they have a principle in philosophy which they say al-wahidu la yasduru anhu illa al-wahid. Okay, As I said, on page number 317, you can refer to it in the English version. It's there, available online also. Philosophical Instructions by Ayatollah Misbah Yazdi. The principle is this, and I'm sorry again I said I'm getting into technical discussions. The one meaning Allah, the one produces nothing other than one. Al-Wahidu la yasduru anhu illa al-Wahid. So Allah cannot produce anything but one. Now when the Quran says He has created you all, what does it mean? He's the one in creation. The philosophers say no. What we are saying is Allah cannot create the material entity and the material world. And thus Allah creates one entity and one existent, and that is the Noor of the Holy Prophet or the Imam, whatever you want to call it, okay? He creates this Muhammadan reality, or the way they call it Aql Kul or Aql Awwal, the first intellect, or whatever the different definitions they have with themselves, okay? Allah creates this, and then this one becomes the intermediary for creation of everything else. Allah cannot create the whole creation. This intermediary has to be used to create. Not my statement, the statement of Ayatollah Misbah Yazdi. He's quoting Mullah Sadra. Notice now. He says, the above mentioned principle, this is in Mullah Sadra's Asfar, is considered to be specific to the sacred divine essence in existence of those of whose essence there is not even analytic complexity. Meaning what? Notice, Allah is basit, the way they call in philosophy. Allah is basit, He is not murakkab, okay? Allah is simple. Simple meaning He is not made of parts. I, as a human, am made of parts. I'm murakkab, okay? I'm compound. As I said, I'm sorry again, I'm forced to get into all these discussions. Allah is basit. Allah is not made of parts. I am made of my parts. So I have a hand, I have a face, I have my eyes, I have my head, okay? I can be separated from, these parts can be separated from me. But Allah doesn't have parts which you can say Allah's eyes are separate and Allah's hands are separate and all whatnot. The discussion of sifat, which some of the Salafis have, okay? When it comes to the verses of the Quran that Allah has hands and Allah has, Allah's legs will show itself on the day of judgment and all whatnot. That's not a discussion which the Shia scholars accept. Okay? The Shia scholars don't accept that Allah will be seen physically on the day of judgment. At least that's the understanding of all Shia scholars, yeah? Yes, if you go to a Salafi understanding and the Sunni understanding, yes, then probably you can say God has parts. God forbid, okay? On the day of judgment, at least those parts will be seen. But we believe that Allah is basit, He's simple, He's not compound. So now, because He is not compound, He's simple, okay? He cannot create compound entities. Because He's simple, He has to create one existent. And that's why He created the Noor, the Muhammadan reality, the first intellect. That first intellect then becomes the intermediary of creation of other entities and other effects in this universe, okay? So now, such that the immediate effect of it meaning Allah, can only be one existent. This is not me saying it. As I said, please don't misquote me somewhere, okay? These are the statements of the philosophers. Mullah Sadra says this, okay? And Allama Misbah Yazdi is quoting it also, okay? So, that Wahid has to create a Wahid. A single has to create a single existent. Other creatures, okay, other creation must be produced, must. Can you see the word, must be produced by means, by the intermediary. of one or several intermediaries from this first effect. I don't know now, I need to explain it more or not, okay? This theory says what? That this first effect which Allah has created, the first existent which Allah has created, that one becomes the intermediary for creation of other creations now. I hope I'm making myself clear. The reason I'm showing you a philosophical text, okay, I'm showing you a philosophical text is to show you the effect of philosophy when it comes to the whole topic and the whole subject of Wilayah Takwiniyah. If you go back to our first discussion where we discussed the different periods and the different stages of Shia theology, this is where I'd mentioned. This is now where you come and understand. You remember I'd mentioned that we live in a period where philosophy is being mixed with theology. This is exactly what's happening now. So the proof for those who believe in wasa'itul faith and this concept of wasa'itul faith is primarily coming from philosophy, not from a hadith, not from the Quran. You might get one or two hadith here and there, which are sahih and authentic. Remaining, you might get later hadith which are not really authenticated, okay? The concept also is not there in the Quran also. So I remember listening to one of the, so Sayyid Kamal Haidari is a proponent of this. There's a lot of scholars who propose this theory, but when I was listening to him, because he claimed that he will give evidences for this theory, they would, from the Quran, they will come and, for example, come and quote verses like, see, Allah taught وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah taught all the names to Adam. Now for the Irfanis, for the mystics and the philosophers, this Adam doesn't refer to Adam Abul Bashar, our father, okay? This Adam is the first Muhammadan reality. Allah taught everything to this Adam, meaning the Holy Prophet's Noor, okay? The Imam's Noor. He was taught everything. And then he was told that أَنْبِئْهُمْ بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ. Notice, Allah didn't teach the names to the angels directly. Rather, he told the Muhammadan reality, he told that Noor of the Prophet now to teach it to the angels. This is how they will end up proving, okay? Now, is it satisfying or not? I'll leave it upon you to go and think about this discussion. But this is how they end up using this kind of proofs they end up giving. Now, inshallah, as we go further, we might, in subsequent discussions, might end up discussing the proofs, though the proofs are lacking. Hadith, Quran and Hadith proofs are lacking in regards, it's more of philosophical proofs. But look at how the scholars understand, okay? Now, I want to quote this hadith. This is quoted in Shaykh Saduq's Al-Khisal, and then come and show you Shaykh Saduq's understanding when it comes to these kind of riwayats. Keep in mind Ziyarat Jami'ah also. Ziyarat Jami'ah Kabira is one of those texts being used for Wasa'itul Faith. Okay? Jami'ah Kabira is being used, some scholars have used that text for proving that they are the wasa'itul faith, they are the intermediary, okay? Become yunazzalul ghais, become. You see these statements coming in Ziyarat Jami'ah, through you, the rain comes, through you the creation happens, through you I don't know what happens, okay? All these statements, they are trying to prove wasa'itul faith. Now, a similar statement, a similar hadith is quoted by Imam Ali alayhi salam in Shaykh Saduq's Khisal. Look at, it's a similar statement to Ziyarat Jami'ah Kabira, and then I'll show you the statement and the understanding of Shaykh Saduq himself, okay? Now, as I said, I'm not getting into the authenticity of these narrations. If we want to get into the authenticity of these narrations, the chains of it, beautiful. As I mentioned in the previous lecture also, that if we want to get into the chains, let's discuss it. Beautiful. We are up for it. And if you don't want to discuss chains and you want to discuss the content and the texts of the hadith, then also beautiful. Let's make the standard clear that what are we going to judge the hadith based upon. Okay, let's have one criteria. Not that the hadith, because it justifies my belief, I use it, even if it's one of the strangest hadith used by a dubious narrator. When it comes opposite, you say, no, this hadith is, I can't use it. Okay, so let's make a standard clear and a criteria clear. The hadith says from Imam Ali alayhi salam. Please keep on the words of the hadith so that you can understand. خُلِقَتِ الْأَرْض لِسَبْعَةٍ. The earth has been created for 7 people. Now, the 7 people you would expect are the names of the Imams alayhimus salam. Yeah? Notice the names now. Okay, now before we get into the names, the statements are the similar statements of Ziyarat Jami'a Kabira. Okay? بهم يرزقون, بهم يمطرون, بهم ينصرون. Okay? So the earth has been created for 7 people, and through them Allah gives sustenance to the earth. Through them Allah sends a rain to the earth, and through them Allah sends victory and success to the believers in this earth. Now the 7 names a person would expect is the names of the Imams alayhimus salam. Look at the names now. Abu Dhar, Salman, Miqdad, Ammar, Hudhayfa al-Yamani, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, 6, and 7, Imam Ali himself. He says, قال علي, Imam said, وأنا إمامهم, and I am their Imam. Okay, I'm part of this whole process. That means whatever is coming down on this earth, it's because of the 7 people, and I am one of the 7 people. Okay, keep this in mind, because one of the Imams is being made a part of this. Imam is making himself part of the reason as to why the earth is getting what it's getting, all the benefits it's getting. Okay? Now, وَهُمُ الَّذِينَ شَهِدُوا. So the riwayah goes on further by saying وَهُمُ الَّذِي شَهِدُوا الصَّلَاةَ عَلَى فَاطِمَةَ عَلَيْهَا السَّلَامِ. And these 6, including Imam Ali himself, 7, these are the people and these are the personalities who attended the funeral of Bibi Fatima alayha salam. I hope you're getting me. Okay, this is a hadith which is clearly explaining the concept of wasa'itul faith, but it's extending it now to the non-imams now. Okay, Abu Dhar and Salman and Miqdad and Hudhayfa and Ammar and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Do we even accept it, even in the belief of Shiism? Do we accept that they are the reasons for everything coming down? This is a question I leave it, and that's why I'm saying textual analysis is required of these ahadith of Wilayah Takwiniyah, of even Ziyarat Jami'a Kabira. Now, look at the understanding of Sheikh Saduq himself. As I said, it's in Al-Khisal. If you want to refer to it, Al-Khisal, page number 360. Okay? It's page number 360, okay? The Arabic version. So the Musannif says, the author, that means Sheikh Saduq, says that معنى قوله خلقت الأرض لسبع نفر ليس يعني من ابتدائها إلى انتهائها. Okay? The meaning that the earth has been created for the 7 doesn't mean that the creation from the beginning till the end. Can you notice now? Okay? This is the understanding of Sheikh Saduq, who is including Imam Ali alayhi salam in the statement. It doesn't mean that the earth is being given and the 7 are intermediaries from the beginning of the creation till the end of the creation. So what does it mean, Ya Sheikh Saduq? وإنما يعني بذلك أن الفائدة في الأرض قدرت في ذلك الوقت. I hope I'm making myself clear. That the fa'idah and the benefit which the earth was receiving at that time when they were alive, that's the time when Allah used these 7 individuals to benefit the earth. I hope you're getting me, okay? Time-based, space-based. It's not from the beginning till the end. No, it's a time-based understanding. So when he is talking about the similar wordings of Ziyarat Jami', it's not from the beginning till the end of the creation. No, it's time-based when they were alive. لمن شهد الصلاة على فاطمة عليها السلام, because these people attended the funeral of Bibi Fatima عليها السلام, and that's why Allah used them to benefit the world. Okay, so this is another meaning of wasa'itul faith and intermediary when it comes to the whole issue of wasa'itul faith. Okay, I just mentioned this understanding to come and give you an understanding that the muhaddithin have a different understanding, different from the philosophers. Philosophers believe no, that aql awwal, the first creation, is the source of everything coming down. Notice Sheikh Saduq says no, it's time based, not from the beginning till the end. Okay, this was the 4th definition we discussed. Okay, we have already discussed 4 definitions. Okay, so one was imam does dua, imam meaning the prophet and the imam. Second was everything is submissive to them, and thus they will and it will happen. Okay, number 3 we said they can create their illat fa'ili and their mudabbir. Okay, and they also administer the affairs of this universe and the creation. And number 4, the definition was they are wasa'itul faith. They are the intermediaries of the blessings coming to this universe. Okay? Now, the remaining definitions I'm quoting from this book. This is a book where there's a collection of articles on the topic of wilaya. Okay? Can you see? Justarhay i'tiqadi wilayat. The topic of this book, the whole book is on the topic of wilaya and the different articles on the topic of wilaya. Okay? So I'm quoting from page, there's an article on page 43. Okay, the article's title is Andishe Aliman Baghdad dar Mas'ale Wilayah Takwiniyah. Okay, and this is something researchers have understood. The Baghdadi scholars' view on the topic of Wilayah Takwiniyah shows you that each group of scholars had a different opinion on Wilayah Takwiniyah. We don't have a uniform and a monolith understanding when it comes to the whole topic of Wilayah Takwiniyah. And again I repeat, when you don't have a uniform understanding, how is it possible that you people take out everybody from Shiism when there is no monolith understanding within the research world? Okay, so there are 2 authors for this article. Notice this scholar and these researchers believe that there's these 6 facets are facets and aspects of Wilayah Takwiniyah. They are not part of the definition. Okay, but I would consider them as part of definition. Okay, now they would consider different aspects and different facets, no worries. Okay, but they are still considered because the scholars discuss it under their definition when they come and discuss Wilayah Takwiniyah. Okay, so now a 5th definition, the imam and the wali is illat fa'ili budane awliya baray alam. Okay, this is something I alluded to in the 3rd and the 4th definition. They have a separate discussion altogether. Imam creates. So, Wallahi, I forgot this. Okay, let me come back to this. My apologies. Let me come. There was one thing I had to explain when the whole issue of wasa'itul faith issue. Okay. In the wasa'itul faith issue, I thought I had to clarify this issue, and that's why I'm coming back to this issue. See, in the wasa'itul faith. Okay, so let me discuss it under even illat fa'ili. Illat fa'ili means what? And I mentioned this. The essential cause, that the philosophers would say that Allah is the illat fa'ili. He is the essential cause. But even us, we can be illat fa'ili. Okay? We can be causes for other effects. So me as a father, I can be a cause. Okay? The mother can be a cause for my children. Okay, we parents are a cause for our own children. This is illat fa'ili, any cause which brings another effect into existence. The philosophers, as I mentioned, they discuss this when it comes to wasa'itul faith. They say that they are not doing shirk. You remember when I said Mullah Salih Mazandarani says it's shirk when philosophers believe that it's only through them, the intermediary, the creation happens. Allama Ayatollah Kashif al-Ghita comes and explains this theory. Now you accept it or you reject it, it's upon you. I'm just explaining this theory. Under illat fa'ili. What they mean by wasa'itul faith and under illat fa'ili, the essential cause, they say, see, we are not saying that they are the real creators. Okay? Okay, so the intermediary is not the real creator. It's like the example they give of a father and a mother being parents to their children. Notice, the father and the mother play a role in creating the child, in bringing the child into this world. So they are a real cause, but the actual cause is Allah. Okay? So that's how they explain the whole topic of the wasa'itul faith, the intermediary process. Okay, that means that they are creating, but they are not the real creators, but they are an actual cause. Okay, this is to keep in mind from the first one where they are not creating, they are not doing, they're just doing dua. Here they're actually creating themselves. Okay, so they are part and parcel of the creation. The only difference is what? Allah is the absolute cause and the real cause, and they are a secondary cause, the primary cause and the secondary cause. So this is exactly what he is also discussing. Illat fa'ili budane awliya bare alam. The Imam creates the universe, everything in the universe. That's a fifth meaning which some scholars have come up with. We already discussed that a bit partially. The sixth meaning, he says that awliya illat ibqa'i alam bashand. The wali and the imam is the reason for the existence to exist. Okay, the reason the existence is surviving and it's staying in its place, it's because of the reason, it's because of the wali and the imam. It's through him. We also discussed that also partially. Okay, I will come and discuss this philosophically also as we go further. The seventh and eighth meaning, we have already discussed it. We don't need to put it as seventh and eighth meaning. So, Mudabbir, Tadbir, Alam, the administrators, we have already discussed it. Wasa'itul Faith, we have already discussed it. The seventh or the eighth meaning, whatever, Tahqiq Mu'jize wa Kiramat Bidast Awliya. Okay? This is where confusion now happens. With what? The whole Wilayah Takwiniyah. Notice, miracles and kiramat are included as part of Wilayah Takwiniyah. So if you refer to the likes of Shaykh Mutahari, this is an English source I'm just giving you. The book, if I'm not mistaken, is Master and Mastership. We might come and quote it later. You come and refer to there. They quickly run and prove to, when they want to prove the whole concept of Wilayah Takwiniyah, they quickly run to the concept of miracles. Okay? They quickly run to the concept of miracles. Now, miracles are different. It's not Wilayah Takwiniyah. Miracles, as I mentioned, it happens in one portion of time. It's time-based, it's space-based. Okay? And it's only a portion. And the question now comes in, is the Imam performing the miracle, or is Allah performing the miracle? This is something also we will come and discuss it, okay? Here, now this is one discussion of, it's also been included as part of Wilayah Takwiniyah. So, the 7 definitions of Wilayah Takwiniyah, as I said, we need to clarify. When we're talking about Wilayah Takwiniyah, what do we mean by Wilayah Takwiniyah? Okay? The last discussion which I want to have, again, I'm getting into philosophy, and my apologies. You notice one of the meanings of Wilayah Takwiniyah is what? They're illati ibqai alam. They are the reason for which the earth is what? Surviving. Okay? So the existence of the earth and the universe is because of them. Okay? So the philosophers, so this hadith which talks about لولا الحجة لساخت الأرض, it's referring to this, okay? That if the hujjah was not there, everything would have perished. Now look at how the philosophers explain it. This is the same, volume 2, page number 434 in the Farsi version. Page 561 in the English version. My apologies again for getting into discussion. The discussion is on illat gha'i, the final cause. Okay? Now, as I said, some of the philosophical discussions are hard to consume, are hard to even understand, but this is a discussion. For those who understand it, beautiful. For those who don't, excuse me for these discussions, okay? The discussion they have is, what is the purpose for which Allah creates this universe? Why should Allah create this universe? What's the purpose? Now the Quran would discuss a purpose, yeah? وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْأَنْسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, and then لِيَعْرِفُونَ, and all these discussions are done within Quran and Hadith. When you come to the philosophers, they say, hey, pause for a moment. They say, see, every person who wants to do anything has a hadaf in mind, okay? Has a purpose in mind. And this is something we also accept, that we humans also, whenever we want to do something, there has to be something purposeful for us to do it. Without a purpose, you don't do something, okay? Otherwise, that work becomes abath, it becomes useless, non-beneficial, okay? And Allah is also out of this. Allah cannot do something useless and non-beneficial. So what He does has to have a purpose, okay? Now, when we humans have a purpose, the purpose is without us. It's external to us. It's not internally within us, okay? There's a hadaf and a purpose without us, external to us. We need to achieve it. Do you get me, okay? We need to be able to achieve that purpose, and that's why we go after it and we try to achieve that purpose. It's without me, it's external to me. I don't have ilm, I don't have knowledge, I go and run after it and I try achieve the knowledge. If I had the knowledge of everything in the universe, then I didn't need to go out. So my hadaf would not be running after knowledge then, because I don't need to achieve that. The hadaf is already achieved within me. I hope I'm explaining, okay? These are technical discussions, but hopefully I can explain them. Now, when it comes to Allah, how do you define it? You say hadaf. There's no external hadaf to Allah. There's no external purpose for Allah. Allah is the absolute perfect. Every perfection you can find, it's there in Him. And we said Allah is not compound. Allah is basit, is simple, okay? So it's not like the purpose is something else and Allah is something else. No. Allah is Him and the purpose is Him. Okay? Everything is within Him. All the perfections are within Him. So the philosophers come and put up a theory now. They say that then Allah is after Himself. I hope you're getting me, okay? So they say hubbidat, okay? If I can read the Farsi statement for you. Notice it says that حب إلهي هم بالأصالة بذات مقدس خدش, okay? It's Allah now loving Himself is the purpose. Self-love. Self-love is only explained with Allah, nobody else, according to the mystics. Takabbur, that's why it's not allowed. But takabbur for Allah is allowed because He self-loves Himself, okay? Because He's the absolute perfect. He's every perfection you can think of. So He loves Himself. Now when He loves Himself, okay, what do we do with that? How is it related to this discussion? So notice, divine love also applies fundamentally to His sacred essence. He loves Himself. Because He loves Himself subordinately to the good and perfection of His creatures. So He loves His creation also. Because He loves Himself, so because the creation are from Him, and that's why He loves the creation also. Now, the formula they come and make up is something which we disagree here, is here now. They come and say that this divine love for creatures applies in the first degree to the most perfect of them, which is the first creature. Okay? Until here also we agree that Allah loves the first creation the most. Who is the what? We mentioned the aql kul, the first intellect, or the nur of the Prophet and the Imam. Okay? He loves this existence the most. Okay? Now, they come up with a theory now, and this is where we disagree, is they say that we see this even in the material entities. They say among the material and corporeal entities, amongst which there is no specific gradation, one may consider the more perfect to be the purpose of creation of the less perfect. So the philosophers divide the universe like this, okay? They say, see, the non-living entities, the stones, what they call the jamadat, okay? The stones and all the non-living entities are here. They are the least in the gradation of the universe. And then above them come the nabatat, the plants. So what they're claiming is this, the stones and the non-living entities has been created for this. Now this is where we said we disagree with this understanding, at least in the Quran and the Hadith, okay? The plants have been created for animals, okay? The gradation like this, animals, and then humans, and then angels, and then the first nur, okay? The nur of the Prophet and the Imams, and then Allah Himself. Do you get me? This is the gradation they have. I'm sorry to put Allah somewhere. We don't believe in Allah to be somewhere, okay? But this is the gradation they do of the universe, okay? So what they believe is the less perfect is created for the more perfect than that person. So the grade is like this, okay? That one may consider the more perfect to be the purpose of the creation of the less perfect. Okay, so the humans are created for what? Okay, the gradation happens like this. Okay, now, why is all this discussion being brought up? Okay, they say now, finally, one can consider the love of the perfect man to be the final cause of the creation of the material cosmos. This is the conclusion we disagree with, okay? Because the Quran is very clear. وَالَّذِي خَلَقَ لَكُمْ وَالَّذِي سَخَّرَ لَكُمْ. Everything has been created for you humans. As much as Allah loves the Prophet and the Prophets and the Imams higher than everybody else, there's no denial on that. But are they the purpose of creation? Okay, so you see those da'if riwayats being used, that if it was not for Fatima, Ali would have not been created. If it was not for Ali, the world would have not been created. All those riwayats, you will see them coming up now and again. Okay, those riwayats are now used to prove this concept. Okay, that the final cause and the final purpose, the hadaf, the purpose for which the creation is created is the first human being. Okay, one can consider the love for the perfect man to be the final cause for the creation of the material cosmos. The reason Allah creates is because He loves this first human being and first existent, and that's why He creates. If He's not there, the existence disappears. Okay, and this is one of the meanings of Wilayah Takwiniyah being intended, that the existence of this human, rather the existence of this Nur, the Muhammadan reality, is what is causing everything to come down. If this one is removed, then everything goes away, then the universe gets destroyed and gets annihilated by itself. Okay, and this is where those riwayats are understood, that lawla al-hujjah, if the Imam was not there, this world would have perished. Okay, these are the definitions of Wilayah Takwiniyah. We conclude the discussion of the definitions of Wilayah Takwiniyah, inshallah, in the next discussion. Before we get into other discussions of the opinions, I will get into now defining the whole issue of istighatha, with which I will be forced to even discuss the whole issue of tawassul and istishfa again, though I have done it before also, but I'm forced to do it to be able to make the distinction and then come and explain in the context of Wilayah Takwiniyah. And the final discussion we also have there, before we get to the opinions, is the whole issue of how to link between Wilayah Takwiniyah and istighatha. Okay, so in conclusion, we have already defined all the different definitions of Wilayah Takwiniyah. The point I'm trying to make is this: when you have 6 to 7 definitions of a concept, whenever we are discussing this issue, let's first clarify the definition and then clarify if that definition is also one of the dhururiyat al-madhab or not, and then verify if it is a necessity of Shia madhab, and then come and pass the concept and pass this fatwa that if anybody doesn't believe in Wilayah Takwiniyah, he's a non-Shia. Okay, let's pray to Allah. Allah give us the tawfiq to be able to, again, Allahumma arinil ashya kama hiya. Okay, this was this is a dua attributed to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Oh Allah, make me see the things the way they are. Don't make me confused. Okay, this is the concept of furqan in the Quran, that Allah give me the furqan and that basira and that insight to be able to see the way the religion, the way it is and the way you want. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.